lot of the self-improvement stuff, like, like I'm sure you like, you love investing, but you don't want to do it like for as long as, you don't want to take time up with it as much as you did with like video games, for example. Like I'm
Well,
sure
and
you're not,
that's
looking to invest 12 hours a day. Like,
well, no, but that's why I got into what's called like dividend investing, which like most banks do. But that was the other thing that really triggered me because I looked at my bank. It was like they pay me like a tenth of a percent like a year on
yeah,
my savings.
it's like 3 cents or something.
Yeah, and I looked at the S&P 500, like the general broad stock market, and they pay an average of like 7 to 8% a year. So I'm like, so you're telling me I could just take all my money, put it into this stock, which isn't you shouldn't really do, but if I did
Right.
over the past 140 years, I would have made I don't even know what that be like 30 times or 40 times the amount it's making in a savings account.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I was like, and how, and I just think, again, I just think a lot of people are like, oh, well, investing's hard or something. And I, I'm not the best, with my investing videos. It's not like the greatest compared to others, but they have so many different ways that you could put like $5 in a week, which seems like nothing. But let's say you put $5 in a week, you're putting in, what's it, like $260 or so a year. That 260 becomes, let's say, 270. And then it just keeps compiling and just interest. And that
Right.
stupid $5 a week you were putting in when you were 18 is now making you a couple thousand a month because you made the decision now.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
a lot of videos are like, if you're in your 20s and you do this, you're great. And then it's like if you're in your 30s, it's getting a little scary. And it's like if you're in your 50s, like you're screwed. Like if you start investing now, because you could still do it, but it's not. The $5 at age 20 is now like $100 at age 50.
Right. Yeah, I think and I never knew, like, I have a 401k, and I never
Yeah.
really understood like how it worked, but because like my company matches like a certain percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but then what I didn't realize was they actually, like, it's not just like black and white in a sense where you're just putting in a part of your paycheck and your company matches it, and then you get a little bit of interest over time or something. It's actually they take that money and they invest it in stuff
Yep.
for you. Basically, like, you can make the decision if you want. Like, you could either invest in what you want to invest in, or you just give it to like a quote unquote expert, and then they'll just put it in stuff that I guess would be reliable or safe, safe bets, essentially. So that was like
Yeah.
a really cool thing. I didn't realize that I am kind of investing. It's just somebody else is kind of just doing it for me, which
Yeah.
I could probably, if I got into investing and started looking at it more, I could probably do it myself and get more out of it.
And that's what a broker would do anyways. You would say, here's my money, invest it,
Right.
and they would say, how do you want to invest it? Do you want to be conservative or moderate or aggressive?
Mm-hmm.
And you just pick. And like, that's all it really comes down because I did the same thing with Erica's 401k. I looked at the stock that her company bought her, and I was like, well, it's not a bad stock, but I could take the money that she's put in her 401k and have almost 10 times the amount that they've made her.
Right. You put it into
So,
something else. If you
yeah,
know what
something
to
that
do
was a
with
little
it,
bit
yeah.
better to do.
Right.
Like the a big one like Bitcoin right now is when I started investing 2 months ago, Bitcoin was like 6,000. I think now it's like 13,000. So,
Yeah, that one's
given
an interesting one though,
yeah,
because that
so
one's
let's
like you never know.
well no, and it's a growth stock though. So it's also a very volatile stock. So you're never the people that are buying Bitcoin aren't buying one Bitcoin. Like the real players are buying, hundreds of Bitcoin, and that $7,000 profit's actually like $1 million profit.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
it's nice when like you buy like Apple or Facebook or Tesla or Google. Like they don't pay. I think Apple does, but Google and stuff like all like the big name ones don't pay dividends. So when it goes up like $50, like oh nice, I made $50, but then it goes down 50, and you're like I literally made nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So the stocks I like to look at are the stuff I invest in. If it loses $50, it'll probably go back up. But while it's still fluctuating, I'm still getting paid by the company
Right.
to own
Okay.
to own them.
That's
So I,
interesting.
I mean, again, and that's what investing opened up for me was it wasn't just the stock market; it was really life, where
Mm-hmm.
it was like, all right, and we've discussed this numerous times, where do you want to spend an hour a day working on something? Now, let's say, like, a big one I saw recently was there's a huge argument with if you buy Starbucks every day, you're gonna be broke. And
Hmm.
this person put it was like, well, like let's say you don't go to Starbucks, you make your own coffee in the morning. Now you have to, let's say, wake up 15 minutes earlier. You got to spend another 10, 15 minutes in the morning getting your coffee. But then maybe because you're making coffee, you forgot to make breakfast. Now you're going to buy breakfast. And now you're going to spend more time in the morning making coffee and breakfast. But oh my God, you forgot lunch. So it's not really that buying coffee or buying anything is what's making you poor. It's that no one is saving on the other end. So it's not
Gotcha.
hard to, like Brad's dad told me years ago, he said it's not, going out isn't bad, but if you're willing to go to a restaurant, take whatever the bill was of the restaurant, put that exact same amount of money into your savings account. That way you're forcing yourself to save. Because if you're going to tell yourself,
Right.
well, I'm going to spend $25 to eat out, then you better spend $50 and just, cancel it out. Because at least at the end of the day, that $25 will end up making more than it cost you at the restaurant in the first place.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it in
So,
that way. I guess there's like a million ways to kind of go about doing that. Like I know I see a lot of people do. They'll be like, all right, I'm gonna calculate whatever it is, like 20% or 15% of my paycheck, and it's just immediately going into my savings or something.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I think it takes, obviously it takes a certain level of self discipline, to make sure that you just do it.
Well, that's the biggest. If there is, I could probably search pretty easily, but if you were to look up the biggest enemy of the stock market, it's emotion. It's
Oh,
the
sure,
stocks.
yeah.
The stocks are going to keep going up for the most part. I mean, like you can't invest in like a penny stock and expect it to be like amazing in 100 years. But if you just invest in the general market, America has to crash for you to lose.
Hmm.
Like, and as of right now, it's not really happening.
Right.
But that's what it kind of comes down to is the people who put money into things and then it goes down like 5%. Like the big I'm reading a book right now. It's Warren Buffett and why he invests like a girl
Hmm.
and why that's okay. Because what happened was during the stock market crash in I want to say 2008. I think it was 2008 was the real estate crash, and everyone sold because they were losing money, and they're like, well, shit, like I can't lose more.
Hmm.
And then you had people like Warren Buffett who bought a crap ton of stuff because at the end of the day, it's going to go back up. It just went down that one time.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's emotion
smart.
is a big thing. When you let your emotions take control, especially when it comes to money, you're gonna lose. It's never a good thing to, and that's why again I don't like growth stocks because you have to have emotion with growth stocks because they're gonna go up most likely, but if they do go down, you're not getting a benefit.